Hi, friends, and welcome to Peace is Here. I'm your host, Avis Kalfsbeek. This episode is part of the Wolff Peace series, our tribute to political philosopher Robert Paul Wolff and his powerful anthology, Political Man and Social Man. In each episode, I explore one of Wolff's featured thinkers and pair their work with someone who embodied peace in action. Together, these voices help us ask what kind of power builds peace and what kind destroys it. The thinker, Max Weber. Today's philosopher is Max Weber, a German sociologist and political theorist who wrote during the turbulent early 20th century. In his essay, Politics as a Vocation, Weber offers a sobering definition of the modern state. A state is a human community that successfully claims the monopoly of the legitimate use of physical force within a given territory. For Weber, politics is not about ideals. It's about the reality of power, legitimacy, and violence. He doesn't celebrate this monopoly, but sees it as unavoidable. Leaders, in his view, must balance two ethical frameworks: the ethic of conviction, staying true to one's values, and the ethic of responsibility, dealing with the messy consequences of power. Weber's realism challenges us. Can peace be anything more than the careful management of violence? And if the state must use force, can it still be ethical? Peace pairing. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, 1890 to 1988. To answer those questions, let's bring in Abdul Ghaffar Khan, also known as Bacha Khan or the Frontier Gandhi. Born 1890 in what is now Pakistan, Ghaffar Khan was a devout Muslim, a Pashtun leader, and a fierce opponent of British colonialism, but he chose nonviolence not as a tactic, but as a spiritual discipline rooted in Islamic teachings. He built the Khudai Khidmatkar, Servants of God, a nonviolent army of over 100,000 men and women who resisted British rule without ever raising a weapon. He said, "There's nothing surprising in a Muslim or a Pathan like me describing to the creed of nonviolence. It is not a new creed. It was followed 1,400 years ago by the Prophet all the time he was in Mecca." Where Weber accepted violence as the price of politics, Ghaffar Khan offered a different truth, that peace doesn't require domination. It requires discipline, it requires courage, and it requires a community willing to suffer for love. Your peace questions to ponder. Big picture. Do you believe force is ever necessary to maintain peace? What would a society without state violence actually look like? Day-to-day life. Where in your life do you rely on control to feel safe? Is there a situation where you could replace force with presence or listening? That concludes this episode of Peace is Here. You can learn more at aviskalfsbeek.com, where I share updates on this podcast and my books, including the newly released novella Mano Mutante, a story about food, friendship, and finding peace in the soy-soaked heart of industrial ag Iowa. I write best friend activist short fiction in my Peter the Water Dog Saves the Planet 6-book series. Coming up next, more thinkers, more peace pairings, and more bold questions from the Wolff Peace series. This episode is human narrated by me, but was created with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it makes something up. So far, no confessions. But if you believe I've missed something, or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is Dalai Lama Riding a Bike by Javier Peque Rodriguez. Links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp are in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, it really helps me if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts, or send it to a friend. I'm Avis Kalfsbeek, and I write the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet book series, which are a series of environmental adventure novellas. Books 1 through 6 are available at all your favorite online bookstores or at aviskalfsbeek.com. Go to aviskalfsbeek.com to be notified when new books come out. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace. you.